What's going on, friends? Welcome back to College Sports Corner. Hope you're having a great weekend. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday. Hope you're enjoying football. We had a lot of good football yesterday. We had some upsets. We had some crazy-ass stuff happen, some crazy games. And we got a few news items we'll get to also. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss anything, so you can listen to it, watch it at work. Because like I said before, let's face it, who really wants to work anyway, especially on a Monday or something, right? All right, so let's get down to some news. Did you see the Boise State UTEP game Friday night? UTEP beat Boise. Shocked the hell out of me. I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. And in return, Boise State fires their offensive coordinator, Tim Plough, I think that's how you say it, after that loss. Boise finished with only 177 total yards, and we'll go over that. I think they only had like 93 passing yards in that whole game. Andy Avalos, the head coach of Boise State, this is his second year. Last year they went 7-5. So we'll see what happens at Boise. You never know. They'll turn things around next year, year after. Coach might be gone. Time to find a new coach. Boise just hadn't been the Boise of the past that we're so used to, but things change. Wisconsin tight end Clay Cundiff, he was carted off the field last night in the second quarter in the Ohio State game. Lower leg injury. He was laying on the field, or he was on the sideline saying it's broken. Have not seen any updates on that. Don't know what's actually wrong with his leg. I think they're supposed to do x-rays last night or this morning. I'm sure we'll find out what's going on there. Anyway, whatever's going on with you, Clay Cundiff, man, get better soon. Last night in the A&M Arkansas game, Texas A&M wide receiver Ainias Smith, he was helped off the field in the second half. Later, they showed him on the sidelines with a boot, and he was using crutches. Haven't got an update on that. Don't know what's going on there. I'm sure we'll find out today or tomorrow on that. Stephen F. Austin, Lumberjacks, up in Nacogdoches, Texas. Yesterday, they beat NIIA school, Warner, 98-0. Which makes you ask the question, why the hell were they even playing them? Feel sorry for Warner. Must have been a long bus ride or plane ride home, whichever they take. But that sucks, and you're just wondering why. But who knows? All right, Thursday night. Illinois beat Chattanooga, 31-0. DeVito for Illinois, 329 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Brown rushed for 108 yards on a touchdown. And I think Illinois, they go to Wisconsin next Saturday. And the way Wisconsin is playing, who knows what's going to happen there. I watched this one. It was a pretty good game for a while. They kind of got a little out of hand. West Virginia beats Virginia Tech 33-10 in Blacksburg at Lane Stadium. Mountaineers Daniels, 203 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Donaldson rushed for 106 yards. Wells for the Hokies threw for 193 yards and a touchdown. And then Smith had 70 receiving yards and a touchdown. First half, both teams moved the ball pretty well, but both defenses would step up when they had enough of that and stop that drive dead in its tracks. Both teams also racked up penalties. West Virginia, 4 for 59 in the first half. Vodtech, 9 for 58 yards in the first half. Second half, Virginia Tech came out. They threw the ball well. They started moving it that way. But, like we said before, West Virginia defense would have enough of that, and they would stop them in the tracks. And Vodtech on defense, they were just giving West Virginia first downs on penalties. A lot of 15-yard penalties, 10-yard penalties. They were just like giving away first downs to Virginia Tech that whole second half. It was crazy. But at the same time, though, West Virginia's offense, they did move the ball well. They didn't need those penalties, but they took them anyway because their offense played pretty damn good that second half. Towards the end of the second half, the West Virginia defense just dominated. So you had a very balanced team there at the end. Defense was playing great. Offense was playing great. And it's just too much for Virginia Tech to handle. West Virginia kind of started the season off kind of but I think they lost to Kansas. But hey, as we're seeing, Kansas is a good team this year. And Hokies, I don't know what to say about the Hokies. They're just, man, it's like ever since Frank Beamer retired, they just haven't been the same. Hokies. I think Justin Fuente, I think he had one good year, maybe his first year there. But now they're just, who knows. Also, Coastal Carolina beat Georgia State 41-24. Coastal Carolina's McCall threw for 268 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. Beasley ran for 142 yards. And then Brown, 129 receiving yards, 5 catches, 2 touchdowns in that one. Wasn't all bad for Georgia State. Granger threw for 231 yards and a touchdown, so wasn't all that bad. Okay, well, we were just mentioning a while ago, UTEP beat Boise 27-10. Hardison for UTEP, 123 passing yards and a touchdown. Ballard rushed for 60 or caught 4 passes for 64 yards and a touchdown. For Boise, Bachmar, 93 passing yards and a touchdown. Helene, 76 rushing yards. And Caples, 4 catches for 32 yards. Boise ended up with 93 passing yards, 84 rushing yards, 177 total yards in that one. UTEP ended up with 322. So I didn't watch that game because I figured Boise's going to win. I wish I would have watched that game now, but oh well, it is what it is, you know. See another game on Friday. Air Force beat Nevada 48-20. Air Force's Roberts rushed for 123 yards on 20 carries, 3 touchdowns for that one. Virginia lost to Syracuse 22-20. Armstrong for Virginia, 138 passing yards and a touchdown. Schrader for Syracuse had 277 passing yards. Armstrong's a good quarterback. Virginia's 2-2 now. You figured they'd be better than that with Armstrong, but you know, it is. I guess it is what it is. Okay, let's see here. What we got? Let's move over to Saturday. Number 17, Baylor beat Iowa State 31-24. This is a 3-point game at the halftime. Bear Chapin threw for 238 yards, 3 touchdowns. Reese rushed for a touchdown. Holmes caught a touchdown pass. For the Cyclones, Deckers, 284 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Noel, 7 catches for 120 yards for Iowa State. Both are 3-1 now. Mississippi State, I guess after losing last week, they were pissed, and they beat Bowling Green 45-14. Will Rogers, 406 yards, 6 touchdowns in this one. Hell of a game for him. Ducking, 7 catches for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns. For Bowling Green, Orth, 172 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Not bad. Just wasn't quite enough. Let's see. Buffalo beat Eastern Michigan 50-31. Buffalo Snyder, 279 passing yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. Another one I watched because I was looking forward to it because I figured, I'm going to tell you, I figured Wake Forest was going to win this game. And they could have, but we'll go over a big reason why they didn't here in a minute. Anyway, Clemson wins 51-45, 2 overtimes. That's Clemson's 14th straight win over Wake Forest. Pretty close game all the way through. Whenever Clemson would score, Wake Forest would bring it back and even go ahead. Pretty good, pretty entertaining game, I thought. DJ Ugalele, how do you say his name? 371 yards and 5 touchdowns. I gotta say, he looked better in that game than most of the games I saw last year he played in. Shipley, 20 rushing attempts, 104 yards and a touchdown. Hartman for Wake Forest had a good day too. 337 passing yards, 6 touchdowns. And Banks had 6 touchdown catches, 141 yards. 6 catches for 141 yards, 2 touchdown catches. I don't know what the hell I was thinking there. Clemson, though, they did pick apart the Wake Forest secondary. Pass protection for DJ was great. I mean, he was back there in the pocket all by himself he probably could have done his homework back there. I mean, that's how much of a space around him and how much time he had. It's pretty incredible, Clemson's pass protection of him. Wake Forest passing game was good, but the rushing game was horrible. That's going to play a factor in them losing this game here in a minute as we go over it, I believe. Both teams seem to be pass interference happy. I mean, it is just pass interference on both teams left and right all day yesterday. Wake Forest, when the second half started, they did come out playing better offense and defense. It's like something really clicked and they really started going. Clemson started probably in the third quarter, started coming apart a little bit, making mistakes, penalties. Wake Forest totally took advantage of it. Okay, so here we go. Last 2 minutes of the game. For some reason, Wake Forest coach, Jim, I forget his name, he relied on that crappy run game they had there in the last 2 minutes. It was run play after run play after run play that was only getting them 1 to 2 yards. Like, you realize if you want to win this game, you're going to have to throw it downfield and get another first down or so because your run game sucks, but your passing game is really good. But no, he decided, hey, let's just keep running it and get our 1 to 2 yards. And I don't know what thinking was behind that. I mean, we can all sit here in our, like I said, our armchairs and be armchair quarterbacks or coaches. I think a lot of you that saw that game would agree with me that those running plays called one after the other was probably one of the dumbest coaching things we'll probably see this year. I know the year's still young, but that was totally stupid. Because the Wake Forest passing game was so good, Clemson's got a young secondary. So I don't know why you weren't trying to get a first down. The coaching staff and the head coach really should have been apologizing to their team in the locker room after the game. I really feel that Wake Forest coaching lost that game because of the stupid play calling. So Jim Grobe, I think that's his name. I really hope he apologized to his team because that was just horrible, horrible play calling there at the end of the game. Didn't understand it. Most of the players probably didn't understand it. The fans in the stands didn't understand it, but oh well. We're done with that. Number 14, Penn State beat Central Michigan 33-14. Clifford had a great game once again, 217 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Allen, 13 carries, 111 yards and a touchdown. Central Michigan's Richardson, though, 231 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, so it wasn't all bad. But Penn State still came out on top. And what's usually a good basketball game was a pretty good football game yesterday. Kansas, now 4-0, beats Duke 35-27. Daniels for Kansas, 324 passing yards, 4 touchdowns in this game. He also rushed for 83 yards and a touchdown. Arnold, he had 84 receiving yards and a touchdown in that one. Georgia, boy, they had a little trouble yesterday. I mean, they weren't, dead in the water trouble, but damn. Beat Kent State 39-22. And those 22 points were the most scored on Georgia by a team this year. Remember going back to Oregon, that first game, they only scored 3 on them and the others. But yeah, Kent State gave them a game. We got close there for a few minutes there in that game. But Bennett, he threw for 272 yards. Bauer rushed for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. Walker for Kent State, 7 catches for 106 yards and a touchdown. Pretty good day for him. So Georgia, I think some of the players said, yeah, we needed that to get a reality check. So maybe they'll start whipping people by 30, 40 points starting next week. Who knows? Michigan and Maryland, that turned out to be a pretty good game. From the highlights I was seeing, it's actually a 4-point game at halftime. But number 4, Michigan pulls it out, 34-27. McCarthy for Michigan, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns. Corum rushed for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hell of a game for him. Tua for the Terrapins threw for 207 yards and a touchdown. But Maryland, though, even though they're 3-1, they're a pretty good team this year. See how they do it through the rest of the Big Ten schedule. Crazy game from what I saw, the highlights I was seeing. Auburn beat Missouri 17-14. That one went into overtime. Auburn's Ashford, 127 passing yards, 46 rushing yards in the TD. I didn't see that game, but I think I saw there was like missed field goals and fumbles and overtime and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, I don't know. Number 24, Pittsburgh beat Rhode Island, 45-24. Rhode Island, they gave them a pretty good game there. They didn't get blown out or anything. Pittsburgh's Abanikanda, 177 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. Good day for him. Louisville just pounded South Florida 41-3. Malik Cunningham, 186 passing yards, a touchdown, ran for 113 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns in that one. So he had a hell of a game. Speaking of yesterday, were any of you watching any of the games on ESPN and ABC? And they did the live look in for what's his name trying to get the home run record. He always seemed to come up to bat during crucial moments, at least in the Wake Forest Clemson game. And I know a lot of people were pissed off about that. Hey, look, I get it. It's a record. But, I mean, people that are interested in it are probably going to tune to the channel if they have the channel that it's on to see if he does it every time he comes up to bat. So it was kind of irritating because they always did it right at crucial moments. The guy never went up to bat during a timeout or, some lame time during the game. It's always right at, all right, it's 4th and 1, and they're going for it. Let's do a live look in on it. It's like, jeez, whatever. Anyway, I don't know. Some of you probably enjoyed it, but a lot of us didn't. Battle for the Iron Skillet, I believe they call it. TCU beat SMU 42-34. TCU's Dugan threw for 278 yards, 3 touchdowns. Miller rushed for 142 yards and a touchdown. Davis, 78 receiving yards and a touchdown. SMU's Moduse, 372 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Seegers, 60 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. And Bailey, 8 catches, 163 yards, and a touchdown for SMU. Kind of crazy. SMU is 2-2. They're a pretty good team, but TCU is undefeated still, which looks like they're on track to be better than they were last year. So that's good news for them. Oh boy, Ohio had all kinds of problems at Fordham. They only beat them by 7 points. They beat them 59-52. Looks like defense may have been optional in that one. This is a 10-point game at halftime. Ohio, Rourke threw for 537 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jeez. As I said, defense was optional. Jones, 6 catches, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns. For Fordham, DeMorat, 469 passing yards, 7 touchdowns. Defense was optional, or the secondaries for both these teams are horrible. Don't know. This guy, let's see if I can say this guy's name for Fordham. Coco Siluis. Anyway, 13 catches, 320 yards, 4 touchdowns. So, Fordham is 3-1. So, right now they're kicking butt in the FCS, and they came over and tried to do the same thing in FBS and almost did it. So, I don't know. Colorado, what are we going to do with you? Lose to UCLA 45-17. UCLA's Thomas Robinson, 234 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Charbonnet, 9 runs, 104 yards, 3 touchdowns. Hell of a game for him. Colorado does have a pretty good quarterback, though. McCown, 258 passing yards and a touchdown. I'm just wondering what everybody else around him is like. I don't know. Maybe some of you Colorado fans know what's going Temple beat UMass 28-0. Warner for Temple, 173 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Saunders, the receiver, 101 receiving yards and a touchdown. Western Kentucky, 73. Florida International, 0. You would think Billy Zape is still playing for Western Kentucky. But no, it is Reed who is the quarterback. And he threw for 381 yards and 5 touchdowns. Western Kentucky, 688 total yards and 32 first downs in this game. Hilltopper's receiver, Corley, 3 catches for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, Western Kentucky's 3-1. Keep an eye on them. Tennessee, 38. Florida, 33. You know, I really thought that Tennessee was just going to whoop Florida. Florida had that great game against Utah, and ever since then they're kind of, But Florida, hey, I give them credit, man. They hung in there. This 3-point game at halftime. Hendon Hooker threw for 349 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also ran for 111 yards and a touchdown. McCoy, 5 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown catch for the Vols. Richardson for the Gators, 453 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns. Man, Tennessee, 4-0 now. They might be them in Georgia fighting there for the East. See what happens with Kentucky and everything else, but hey. Cincinnati 45, Indiana 24. Bryant for Cincinnati, 354 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Scott, 10 catches, 185 yards, 3 touchdowns for Cincinnati. For Indiana, Boslick, 280 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Camper, 10 catches, 126 receiving yards. I don't know what to think about Michigan State. After what happened last week, I said, well, Washington's a pretty damn good team this year. The way they're playing, who knows where they're going to be. I figured Michigan State actually would win this game. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, they got their ass walloped. Minnesota goes to East Lansing and beats them 34-7. Morgan from Minnesota, 268 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Mo Ibram, 22 rushes, 103 yards, and a touchdown. Thorne from Michigan State, he had 132 passing yards. Minnesota moved the ball well through the air and on the ground. Michigan State's defense just couldn't do anything with it. Their secondary was really bad too. Minnesota kept lighting them up through the air. The first half, Minnesota ended up at 310 total yards in the first half. Michigan State ended up at 45 total yards in the first half. Michigan State, the offense just wasn't doing very good. Everything that could go wrong basically did go wrong. Gophers, they just dominated both sides of the ball. Didn't quit, didn't have any bad moments in the game. Although the start of the second half, Michigan State, the offense, they had a great drive going. They were looking good. It looked like they got it together, and they were going to make a game out of it. Didn't happen, and that was it. The rest of the game went back to looking like crap. I don't know what Mel Tucker's going to do there, but he needs to figure something out because that is not the Michigan State we're used to seeing. Surprise here. Yeah, crazy. Just shows you how crazy college football is. Middle Tennessee goes to Miami, beats Miami 45-31, gives Miami their second loss in a row. Middle Tennessee led this game by 14 at halftime. Cunningham from Middle Tennessee, 408 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. England Chisholm, 2 catches for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. Miami, quarterback Von Dyke was benched in the third quarter. He had 138 passing yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions, sacked twice. They benched him. Garcia came in, threw for 161 passing yards. And what's going on there in Miami? I don't know. Uh, I brought this up yesterday, and it just seemed, maybe some of you agree, maybe some of you think I'm crazy. Seems like since they tore down the old Orange Bowl, Miami just hasn't been Miami. They've been some mediocre to above average team. I don't know what it was. Maybe when the Orange Bowl was torn down, part of that spirit of Miami football was torn down with it. I don't know. I might be crazy, but if you ever watch their home games, it's like so many empty seats. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's crazy. Um, they really need to get their own stadium, probably on campus. Because first of all, that Miami stadium that Dolphins playing, the Orange Bowl's in, that's got to be the butt ugliest stadium I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's just dumb looking from the outside. Maybe that's why people don't go, because they don't want to be caught seen in a dumb looking building. I don't know. But yeah, Miami needs to do something. They need to get their shit together. They're just not Miami. Actually, they haven't been for a while, but I don't know. Another crazy game. Notre Dame goes to North Carolina, beats them 45-32. Notre Dame led this game by 10 at the half. Pine for Notre Dame, 289 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. For North Carolina, May had a good day, 301 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. Green had 3 catches, 150 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns for North Carolina. Notre Dame starting to win now. After that terrible start, they're winning. They're 2-2 now. North Carolina drops to 3-1. Memphis 44, North Texas 34. Tigers Hennigan threw for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. Thomas rushed for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns. Min Green, they got that quarterback that's pretty good. How do you say his name? Threw for 371 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, yeah, he's pretty good, but they're 2-3. So, kind of like the other team we mentioned. I forget which one we were talking about. Oh, Virginia. They got a good quarterback, but they got a good quarterback too, but they're just not a very good team. Crazy ass game in Lubbock. Texas Tech wins it in overtime, beats Texas 37-34. Longhorns card was 20 for 30, 277 yards, 2 touchdowns. Robinson rushed for 101 yards and a touchdown. Texas Tech Smith, he was 38 for 56, 331 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and he also ran for a touchdown. And yeah, Texas Tech wins it in overtime, kicks the field goal, and Jones Stadium goes crazy. Texas 2-2. As of yesterday, they were ranked 22nd. Probably won't be after today, but I don't know. San Diego State beat Toledo 17-14. But wasn't all bad for Toledo. Finn threw for 204 yards and a touchdown. So UTSA beat Texas Southern 52-24. Harris for the Roadrunners, 392 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Clark rushed for 217 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Body for Texas Southern, their quarterback, 229 passing yards and a touchdown. Not too bad. He had a pretty good game, even though they lost. Georgia Tech, I don't know what to make of that team. Central Florida beat them 27-10. But Sims had a decent game. Threw for 314 yards and a touchdown, but they still lost. Central Florida's Bullard, he ran back a block punt for 29 yards for a touchdown. So special teams worked pretty good there. Close game in Pullman yesterday, but number 15 Oregon pulls it out, beats Washington State 44-41. Yeah, I thought Washington State had a chance there for a while. I thought they were going to win this game. Bo Nix for the Ducks, 428 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Franklin had 5 catches, 137 receiving yards and a touchdown. For Washington State, Ward threw for 375 yards and 2 touchdowns. Still, good team there, Washington State. They're 3-1. Went to Wisconsin, beat Wisconsin. Then again, Wisconsin doesn't look like Wisconsin. So yeah, this Pac-12 conference, I guess you could say, kind of falling apart. These teams are playing some real good football. Oregon is, Washington State is, USC, Oregon State, Washington, Arizona, Cal. It's like this conference, like the teams in this conference said, hey, our conference is falling apart. everybody in America thinks we're a joke of a conference. Let's show them we're not. So things could change, but we'll see. Sacramento State beat Colorado State 41-10. I guess you could call that an FCS upset, but Colorado State just isn't very good. I mean, hell, they're 0-4. Sacramento State's Dunaway, 12 for 23, 164 yards, a touchdown. O'Hara rushed for 2 touchdowns in that win there. Ole Miss, looks like they had a little trouble with Tulsa. I didn't see that game, but judging by the score, 35, they win 35-27. Jackson Dart, 154 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Judkins rushed for 140 yards on 27 carries and 2 touchdowns. So Ole Miss gets by there. Just what we were talking about, Arizona and California. Cal wins 49-31, even though Arizona did lead by 3 points at halftime. Plummer for California, 245 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Ott ran for 274 yards on 19 carries for 3 touchdowns. DeLora for Arizona passed for 401 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Cowing had 7 catches for 133 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, both these teams are good. I mean, getting into Pac-12 play, we'll see what happens. But right now, both of them are looking good. A hell of a lot better than they've been looking the last couple of years. That's for damn sure. Liberty beat Akron 21-12. Bennett for Liberty, 152 passing yards, 2 touchdowns in that one. Old Dominion beat Arkansas State 29-26. Old Dominion, they didn't score until the 3rd quarter. And when they did, they scored themselves right back into the game. They scored 21 points in the 3rd quarter to get back into it and win it. I mean, that's crazy, huh? Georgia Southern beat Ball State 34-23. Georgia Southern's 3-1 now. Navy beats East Carolina 23-20. That game was 3-3 at halftime. It's almost like a baseball game. All right, let's see. Good one here, right down the road here in Houston for the Bayou Bucket. Houston beats Rice 34-27. Rice actually led by 4 at halftime. Houston's Toon threw for 249 yards, 2 touchdowns. Henry rushed for 112 yards on a touchdown. And Dell, 7 catches, 134 yards on a touchdown. Rice's McMahon, he threw for 334 yards and a touchdown in that one. Crazy-ass game last night. Game that I was cheering, I was cussing, and all that. Anyway, A&M beats Arkansas 23-21. This game was 14-0 last night. Arkansas, I was fixing to just give up. I was like, yeah, but whatever, I'm done. There's got to be something else better, huh? But I stuck with it. I'm kind of glad I did. Max Johnson wasn't outstanding, but probably better than Haynes King would have done. 151 passing yards and a touchdown. A-Chain, 19 rushes, 159 yards and a touchdown. KJ Jefferson for the Razorbacks, 171 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. And he also ran for 105 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, Jefferson, boy, Arkansas's got a hell of a quarterback there with Jefferson. So, yeah, there you go. Arkansas is a good team. I'm an Aggie fan. I'm not ready to announce that A&M's a good team. They're decent, finding ways to win. So, I'm still optimistic. We'll see what happens. Texas State beats Houston Baptist, which changed their name this week to Houston Christian because they said more than just Baptists go to our school. So we're going to accommodate everybody. We're changing our name to Houston Christian University. Anyway, Texas State beat them 34-0. Hatcher for Texas State, 362 passing yards, 4 touchdowns in that one. Damn. Iowa seems to be getting a little better. Those first 2 games, that offense was horrible. But they seem to have found their way, I guess. We'll see. They beat Rutgers 27-10. Petrus threw for 148 yards. On the other side of the ball, Rutgers Simon, 300 passing yards, 1 touchdown. South Alabama beats Louisiana Tech 38-14. Troy beats Marshall 16-7. Kentucky looks like they might have had a little trouble last night, but they beat Northern Illinois 31-22. Levis threw for 303 yards, 4 touchdowns. Robinson, 7 catches, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They'll be glad to get that running game going when, what's his name, Rodriguez comes back. I think it's October 1st against Ole Miss is when he's coming back. See what kind of other points they can put on the board. UNLV beat Utah State 34-24. I don't know what happened to Utah State. They're a pretty damn good team the last few years. This year they just fallen apart. But their quarterback, they got a great quarterback. Bonner threw for 289 yards, 3 touchdowns. I don't know what's going on there. Crazy. Southern Miss beats Tulane 27-24. South Carolina beats Charlotte 56-20. Lloyd for South Carolina, 169 rushing yards on 15 carries and 3 touchdowns on that one. This is crazy. You may have noticed this. At night, I'm watching games on my tablet. Wife is watching On Patrol Live, and every time they're in that little town, that little county or town in South Carolina, the criminal, perpetrator, whatever, either has a Gamecock shirt on or a Clemson shirt on. Serious. I'm serious. I'm not lying. Check it out sometime. Some Saturday night. When when there's a commercial break during the game, go to On Patrol Live, and if they're in South Carolina, yeah, that criminal's got a Gamecocks or a Clemson shirt on. Purdue beat Florida Atlantic 28-26. Burton for Purdue, 166 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Perry for Florida Atlantic, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's a pretty good quarterback. He's just on Florida Atlantic's team, and I guess maybe he's the only playmaker. Who knows? I don't know what the hell's going on there up in Evanston, but Northwestern loses another one at home. Lose to Miami of Ohio 17-14. Northwestern fans are already calling for a cleanup for the whole coaching staff. I like Coach Fitz, outspoken, good coach. I'd hate to see him go, but if he has to, I mean, he has to. But I hope Northwestern gets a turnaround because I really like Coach Fitz. I think he's a cool guy. He's pretty funny too. LSU beat New Mexico 38-0. Kane for LSU rushed for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns in that one. NC State beat UConn 41-10. Larry for NC State 320 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Thomas had 5 catches for 115 yards and a touchdown. Vanderbilt, who started off the season so good, it's just not going that way. I mean, they still got a winning record, 3-2, but they get beat by Bama, beat by 52 points. They lose 55-3. Bryce Young, 385 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Brooks had 6 catches for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns. Swan for Vanderbilt, he only passed for 115, so... Ohio State 52, Wisconsin 21. Poor Wisconsin, boy, they're just having a bad, not quite a bad year, but it's going in that direction. C.J. Stroud, 281 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. Igabuka, I can never say his name right. 6 catches for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns. For Wisconsin, though, wasn't all bad. Allen rushed for 165 yards on 23 carries and 1 touchdown. But they got Illinois. I think it's Illinois next week. Illinois is not a bad team. Probably playing on the level, I don't know, I'd say about Washington State. And Washington State went in there and beat Wisconsin, so I don't know. I don't know what Wisconsin's going to do. Florida State 44, Boston College 14. Travis for the Seminoles, 321 passing yards and a touchdown. New Mexico State 45, Hawaii 26. But Shager for Hawaii, 262 passing yards and 1 touchdown, but they still lost. Thomas for New Mexico State, 131 rushing yards and a touchdown. Crazy game in Oklahoma. But I'm not surprised because Kansas State seems to give Oklahoma fits. Whether it's in Norman or Manhattan, doesn't matter. Kansas State always plays them good, and they do it again. They beat Oklahoma in Norman, 41-34. Martinez for Kansas State, 234 yards on the touchdown. He also rushed for 148 yards and 4 touchdowns. Don't know yet if Nebraska's wishing they still had him, but I don't know. Gabriel for the Sooners, 330 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Difference in this game. This is going to be crazy, but I've got it right here. Second quarter, Kansas State and Oklahoma scored 10 each. Third quarter, they each kick a field goal each. Fourth quarter, they each score 14 each. So what's the difference in this game? First quarter, Kansas State scores 14, Oklahoma only scores 7. That's crazy, isn't it? The difference was way back in the first quarter because all the other quarters, points matched. Crazy, crazy. UL Monroe beat Louisiana 21-17. But, hey, Raging Cajuns Fields did throw for 231 yards and a touchdown. And Jefferson, 105 receiving yards and a touchdown. Only lost by 4. So, USC 17, Oregon State 14. Oregon State was leading at halftime. Crazy. Williams for Trojans, 180 passing yards and a touchdown. Dye rushed for 133 yards on 19 carries and a touchdown. For Oregon State, Griffin, 84 rushing yards and a touchdown. Almost did it. Almost beat USC, but oh well. BYU beat Wyoming, 38-24. Hall for BYU, 337 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Hill had 160 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Washington, boy, they just keep on rolling. They're number 18 as of last night. I wouldn't be surprised if they move up today the way they're playing. They beat Stanford 40-22. Penix Jr., 309 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Stanford's McKee, though. He passed for 286 yards and 3 touchdowns in this one. But, yeah, Washington, boy, there's something to watch there. They're playing like they used to years and years ago. Arizona State's debut with their interim coach didn't quite go as well as they hoped. Utah beat them 34-13. Rising for Utah, 260 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Is that it? One more. San Jose State beat Western Michigan 34-6. Spartans Cordeiro, 250 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Robinson rushed for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Western Michigan didn't score their 6 points until the third quarter. So, maybe a big reason why they were 1-3. All right, so that's it. I'm done. I'm going to go alternate my channels back and forth between probably a football game and the NASCAR race up in Texas. I've been to that track a bunch of times. It's fun. So whenever they're in Texas, I'm not there. I watch it on TV. Anyway, hey, y'all have a great week. We'll be back Thursday to preview week 5. Go over the games that are coming up. Be safe. Y'all have a good day. We'll see you next time.